The interview has come out and I have more clarity than I ever have. It's Christopher Reeve, not Christopher Reeves. Okay, everything has been answered. All right. Thanks for watching. No. But yeah, that interview was dope. That was great. It was really fun. Considering it was literally Eminem talking to himself, I think it felt way more like a smooth conversation between two people than it really should have. They also released some behind the scenes footage from the actual cover video of them shooting the cover, the photo shoot. That dude looks so much like Eminem, bro. Looks like Slim Shady. He looks a lot like Stan, honestly. There are so many references to his old music and his whole career. There's the obvious ones like Guess Who's Back Again. There's My Name Is Chicka Chicka, you know. There's not so, or Awfully Hot Coffee Pot. Eminem says, Bitch, I Wrote Stan, referencing the end of Walk on Water. Then there's some lesser obvious references like how he can't take a shit without someone standing by the bathroom from The Way I Am. They talk about Fact just endlessly. Slim brings up his mom hurting him, which is probably a reference to brain damage. And then all the banter about the Awfully Hot Coffee Pot and all that. Just really good stuff. Really fun stuff. There was that subtle line about Drake. There was where he was talking about Ozempic, you know, and M goes,
that about overweight people is dated. We cured fatness. There's literally a shot for it. It's very popular.
But I hear it's got side effects of jealousy.
Nose job, nigga, Ozempic got a side effect of jealousy and doubt. I never told y'all niggas.
Seems like Slim Shady's been keeping up with the rap beef. Oh, and of course, so on my last video, somebody had commented this about the poster for the interview. At the very bottom where the copyright logo, where the copyright insignia is at, it says copyright 2024, all rights reversed. And when dude commented this on my last video, I'm like, oh my goodness, y'all are crazy, yo. Eminem stands are absolutely insane. Y'all are the best. I just can't mess with that. Like, how do you see that kind of stuff? And so it's like, dang, Eminem kind of just confirmed the reverse theory, even though Skylar Grey said that it wasn't true. And then right when you open up the interview, you see this message pop up. Damn, that's tough. Yo, Eminem is being a bit brutal with that one. I saw that today got age restricted. I wonder if it's because of that at the beginning in the message, you know, him saying that. The complex photo shoot and cover looks so hard. I messed with that so heavy. I love the whole like the colorization and the art style of pretty much everything involving this album. I saw the fans are now calling for Eminem to go on Hot Ones. Let's get like a legit interview. That would be sick. We do need the Eminem Hot Ones interview. I would love that. That would be everything. They dropped trading cards for this album, for this magazine cover. Complex dropped trading cards, which is kind of cool. Now, do you think this is leading up to the deluxe like I was hoping for and I'm still hoping for? Or do you think maybe the tour is going to be the Slim Shady versus Eminem tour? Because that would be hard. That would be really hard. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but the whole thing got delayed by like a day. It didn't come out till the 30th when it said it was going to come out till the 29th, which is funny. And now here's what's been rattling in my head for the past couple days listening to this album back and everything involved with it. I almost feel like the death of Slim Shady is like Revival done correct. I know that might seem like the most sacrilegious take I could say as an Eminem fan, to compare this beloved album that everybody seems to be so happy with. Eminem fans, non-Eminem fans, hip-hop fans, everybody seems to be loving this album. To compare it to one of Eminem's, if not Eminem's worst album, I understand how that could be just absolutely the opposite thing you want to hear right now. But think about it. Eminem always talks about like the way his creative process and how all the time he'll go back in his discography and look at what he's done and how he could do it different or how he could flip it or change it and come at it from an angle where he's never approached from, or talk about something that he hasn't talked about. Because a really hard clip is Eminem talking about how the older he gets,
Rapping gets harder, but rhyming gets easier, if that makes any sense. Rhyming gets easier because when I think of a couple phrases or whatever it is, I think of so much shit that rhymes with it, you know, and connecting the syllables and all, doing all that, like, but by the time it's all said and done, is this different than anything I've done? But when I say rapping gets harder, is because the further along you get in your career, there's less places to go that you haven't been.
rap, which is such a dope concept just as a creative, like trying to come up with fresh and new stuff to say as a 50 some year old man. He only has the past to pull from, really. He's not really creating new stuff day by day. And so I genuinely feel like Eminem took a look at Eminem has had Revival hanging over his head for these past couple years, and he's been trying to figure out how to do it right. We all know that he was very bitter about how Revival was received. He feels like that because everything got leaked beforehand and people were ready to shit on it because it had people like Ed Sheeran and all these, like, they'd had what they didn't want out of an Eminem album at the time. But then I was listening to his interview with Paul on the Paulcast. I was listening to it a couple days ago, and I heard Eminem say that he feels like a rose and castle, the castle fading into a rose like consecutively, they're like one song split into two, and it's one big story. And Eminem feels like that's some of the best writing he's ever done. He said that on the interview, and this belongs to Revival, his worst album, debatably worst album. And so when I go back and look at Revival, I kind of can see where the idea for the Death of Slim Shady came from, because it's kind of a mess. I'll say Revival, I'm not trying to make Revival seem like a better album than it is, because it's totally a mess and it doesn't really make sense for most of it. A lot of it's just like that era of Eminem that we don't really love so much, of him just, throwing every double entendre and rhyme scheme and everything he can onto the page, while at the same time not really taking it very seriously, just kind of rapping and saying these ridiculously like childish jokes, if you will, in a way that doesn't work, because there's a way that Eminem does like childish, like gross humor in a way that works, and there's a way that doesn't. And there's a lot of it on Revival that just doesn't really connect. It just doesn't seem like he cares that much, right? And I think it's fair to say that during that era, Eminem just didn't really care that much. He didn't really have a direction. And all of his political criticisms on the album, whether it be him criticizing Trump at the time, the hot coffee pot, which he references in the interview, and all of these like takes that, his fans weren't really here for. We weren't really here for at the time. He's now the second time up to the plate with this sort of topic matter. It seems like he's become a lot more aware of how to approach the matter. When talking politically, he came after Candace Owen, a very conservative figure who says a lot of bad things about her culture and hip hop in general. She's even actually come out against Eminem. Just for the record, in case you weren't aware, Eminem didn't randomly come after Candace Owens. Candace Owens had said something about Eminem, and then Eminem responded, like how most of Eminem's beef go. Some of Eminem's beefs go. And so a lot of his like political commentary on the Death of Slim Shady, it's done in a way that not only does he not really stand behind a lot of what he says, it's done in a very ridiculous, over-the-top manner that, as you see in the interview, he doesn't really believe in. He doesn't actually think, he doesn't have this hate for fat people or the LGBT community. It's all these things that he's able to channel through Slim Shady, which is so much more appealing than when he just sounds like an old man complaining on Revival, if that's fair. And I'm not trying to say that these are Eminem's actual beliefs. As we see in the interview, it's pretty clear that these are not Eminem's actual beliefs he's holding. He just knows how to get a reaction. He's been doing this for a long time. He knows how to get a reaction from his fans and from media. He's always been good at getting a reaction from the media since the beginning. That's why Eminem is Eminem. And on top of the topic matter and the majority of the track list and how it goes, it's sequenced so much better than Revival is. But if you look at Revival and you look at this, I feel like it's very similar, the topic matter and what we're facing, and like the only difference is Eminem really avoided poppy samples and hooks on this one versus Revival. He gave us a lot. I mean, the whole point of it is he gave us Slim Shady, what Slim Shady does and what he's good at. That is until the end of the album, where we get what a lot of fans, especially the ones that believe in the reverse theory, they don't understand why the album ends this way. But this is kind of what tells me that this album ends this way, because it is Revival. It's a story about Slim Shady dying and Eminem being revived. It ends with him talking about thinking about death and choosing his family, choosing his daughter, and getting the courage to get clean. And once again, we're back in that relapse era of Eminem, where he's finally gotten off of the drugs and now he's talking about all these experiences. And I can tell that a lot of people's favorite tracks on the album are not temporary temporary. They are not somebody save me. But yet Eminem keeps coming back around to this topic matter. Personally, I really love when Eminem makes emotional tracks. I really love when there's a bunch of feeling and there's a bunch of meaning to it. I love the fun, lighthearted Slim Shady tracks, and there's a time and a place for that, and there's a time and a place for the emotional ones. But it really connects with me. Every time Eminem gets real, talks about a slice of life, talks about where he's at, talks about the hardest struggle he's gone through. And so the ending to the album actually makes perfect sense to me. If that might be controversial to a lot of y'all that like the reverse theory, and I can definitely understand the reverse theory. I see that for sure. I definitely see every single reason you would buy into the reverse theory, even though Eminem totally just dissed y'all. But I think that the reason that the album ends the way it does is because this is Revival done correct. I might be way out of left field, freaking off with this theory, but that's just kind of how I feel about it. And I invite y'all to let me know what you think about that, because that's just how I see the album now, and I can't really help that. That's just how I see it. Y'all's take might be that it's reversed, or y'all's take might be that these are his actual views, or maybe it's Slim Shady, or whatever it is. We all have our own take, our own opinion on it, and so I'm curious to hear y'all's down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this album, and let me know what you think about the album sequencing now that we have pretty much sure that it's not reversed. And yeah, I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.
You know, Mork, I think you're beginning to grow.
Well, sir, I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be. So I'll catch you on the rebound, your magnitude. Until next week, Nanu, Nanu.